Welcome to the Ports Garrison. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Greetings, and once again, welcome to the Ports Garrison. I am Phil the Poet, and I want to thank you for joining me today. Now, I think it was yesterday that a friend of mine called me and asked me, why is it that he hasn't seen a video from me dealing with the whole issue of the opposition leader and dead voters voting. So I laughed. I said, well, if you don't see a video from me, you can make a video yourself and share your thoughts. But that was not what he wanted. I guess he wanted to hear my views on it. I was planning to do a video, but just never had the time at that time. Now I have a little time that I'm driving home. So for those of us who are not aware, on Sunday last, in introducing the PNP's candidate for East Rural St. Andrew, attorney at law Patrick Peter King, the opposition leader made mention of dead voters. I think he says everybody has to go out. To all the persons who voted the last time the PNP won the seat need to go out and vote again, even the dead people, or something to that nature. But let me not, as always, I don't want to misquote him, so let me share the video, a clip of what he had to say. Here, take a look.
Make up on the mind. Work has to be done. It's not going to just happen so. We have to make sure that every comrade who voted for the People's National Party in 2011 and delivered the victory, if they're still alive, they have to vote for Comrade Patrick Peter King when the election comes. And even some who not alive, you know, if them can deal with it, no problem.
Now, when I saw that, I did a double take, and I'm thinking, there is nobody who would think that he seriously means that people should go and try to vote in the names of dead persons. To me, it's a clumsy statement, and the opposition leader knows well how the political game is played. So you can't give your opponents fodder. You can't give them things to talk about. And in this era that we're in, this time, this phase of the government's life, all of these things will be jumped on. And if I am being 100% fair, it's par for course. So if the shoes was on the other foot, then the PNP would have milked it for whatever it's worth. So the party leader has to understand and try to make, and every human will make mistakes, but he has to make sure that these kind of utterances is not a regular occurrence, because they will be saved and used against him and his party in the general election. Now, fast forward that to the next sitting of the House of Parliament, and in that sitting, the two persons who took up the mantle or grabbed the button to chastise the opposition leader is Darrell Vaz and James Robertson, along with the Speaker of the House. Now, I found it funny that these two gentlemen are the persons who got up to chastise the opposition leader. I can imagine what the conversation, the text messages before the meeting or the sitting was. So is who going to take on Mark and beat him? Who going to deal with it? Me. Yeah, man, me deal with it. Me deal with him. But you know what? I have a clip to show what happened in the sitting, and it's kind of a long clip, but I implore you to watch the entire thing to get a proper understanding of what took place. Now, here Here's a clip. Take a look and we come back to deal with what we saw.
May I just inquire, a couple of weeks ago the Speaker of the House had indicated that there were reports from the Auditor General concerning matters relating to the National Works Agency as well as PICA. Last week, the PICA report was tabled on the basis that it's an executive agency. I'm asking, why has the National Works Agency audit report not been tabled on the same grounds?
The audit report for the National Works Agency is being tabled today. That's the discussion I was just having with the clerk, and it is on its way up for tabling. Not only is the NWA report slated for tabling, as you know, I had indicated last week, I had just arrived before 2. My checks indicate that there may also be a report, a special report for the Transport Authority. Now, for the benefit of the public, I'm going to take the time to ensure, and the Parliament, that this issue is clearly understood. There is no difference in the views of the Deputy Speaker and the Speaker of the House. As a matter of fact, on issues that require special attention, there is substantial consultation. The Speaker was at lengths to ensure that not just the Parliament, but the public appreciated that as a senior attorney at law, she was very happy to be corrected by a junior attorney. And she was not at all ashamed to make it very public for all to hear. So there is nothing being hidden. All of us sat in the Parliament and previous parliamentarians before us, following a practice that we now with research have come to believe is incorrect. And the Speaker is absolutely correct in saying if we, by practice, are not abiding by the law, we should correct our actions. The executive agencies are few. There are over 140 public bodies. There are currently on the listing, as at March 2017, only 12 executive agencies. Once we started to look at the executive agencies and go over the records, the Administrator General's Department is one, Child Development Agency, the Companies Office of Jamaica, Forestry Department, Jamaica Customs Agency, Jamaica Information Service, Management Institute for National Development, National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, Land Agency, which is a National Land Agency, National Works Agency, the NWA, which is why we have asked to have it tabled today, Passport, Immigration and Citizenship Agency, which was tabled by me last week, and last but not least, the Registrar General's Department. So there is nothing untoward, nothing being hidden. Once we realize that we have not tabled a report that is for an executive agency, we will do so immediately upon picking up the error. I am going to reiterate, public bodies, for the appreciation of many in Jamaica, many do not understand why it is that one would pause to say that audits of public bodies should be verified to have been seen by the minister before such reports are tabled. I have been in the Parliament almost 7 years. Public bodies are not audited like ministries, agencies and departments annually, where the minister is expecting an audit, is expecting the permanent secretary to have a discussion. These public bodies are led by CEOs, executive directors, other forms of leadership and management that do not report directly to the minister on an ongoing basis. So it has not been a surprise to me to see ministers totally unaware, and if they are not at Parliament on the day a report is laid, the media will actually have far more knowledge of the contents of the report than the minister in question. Allowing the minister a period of no more than 2 months to be able to review, consult with the agency the issues identified by the Auditor General, and also speaking with the Auditor General in the event that there are issues to rectify, does not prevent a minister who knows of the situation, who has already verified, who is aware, to table or come and say, Speaker, yes, I'm fine. I have reviewed, I've agreed with the Auditor General that I am now aware. They can literally table immediately if they'd like, 2 days, 3 days, on the next opportunity available. So the outside limit of 2 months is not a stipulation that we sit and wait for 2 months. We take the people's business very seriously, and we want to ensure that a minister who operates in the executive arm and who has a significant responsibility as well to abide by the laws as a legislator in here is aware when being questioned about the contents of any report that is under their area of responsibility. So we continue to await. I've checked. We have not gotten a response from the Attorney General as yet, up to now. And I'm sure they're seized of the importance of responding as it relates to public bodies. However, until then, we will continue to lay only the executive agencies and follow what we appreciate to be the law until otherwise instructed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For the record, we see this matter fundamentally differently. We do not think that the law provides for this up to 2 months hiatus after tabling for a minister to indicate whether or not he or she has seen it. The practice of the Auditor General is to send draft reports to the ministries for the attention of the Permanent Secretary so that the minister can be appraised of the issues before they are tabled, and opportunities are given to the public bodies to respond to any issues in the draft report before the report is finalized. We think that this situation we're now in, where after years and years of established practice and convention, the Speaker comes to her own view on the law and then decides to seek an opinion, in the meantime changing the conventional practice and delaying the tabling of reports on public bodies, is quite inappropriate and wrong, and I want to register my strongest objection to this way of proceeding. And I can't understand why, on a matter of such fundamental importance, the Attorney General's chambers have not delivered this opinion to the Parliament. And I'm calling on them to do so without further delay. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I will allow you in a moment, Minister. I will go further to say to you, though I've not been an auditor for many, many, many years, a draft report is not a report. A report is not a report until it is final. And so, though the Auditor General may or may not have made available to the Minister a draft report, when the rubber hits the road, it is at what is called with the ministry, agency, department of government, public body, executive agency, though it may be, at that exit interview, you are given that final ability to resolve issues that the Auditor General may have found to be a concern that you are able to prove is not correct. You are able at that point to say, this issue, I can prove it should be removed from my report. You are at that point able to say, these are the updates, and I can prove to you this is where we are at the point of your exit interview. I can tell you my experience in the Parliament. At least once I asked the Permanent Secretary, and even at the point of the exit interview, the minister in question had no clue that the Auditor General was conducting an exit interview. So, Opposition Leader, I believe, separate and apart from the legal arguments we must look back at exactly what is the process and paper trail in ensuring that when a report is tabled, it is registered with the date required, and equally when it is presented, that final report is presented to the minister, it is signed for as received by said minister, so that we know when time starts to run. The idea is not that you table first and for the minister to run around like a chicken without head, trying to respond to what they are not aware of. Member Vaz, you raised your hand.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I entered during the members' discourse with you in relation to the filing and tabling of reports. And I quickly inquired whether or not the member, leader of the opposition, had made any discourse or said anything in relation to his recent utterances on the political platform. Madam Speaker, I have a major issue. And I know that I speak for all well-thinking Jamaicans.
What is the procedure being followed by the minister at this present time?
I speak for all well-thinking Jamaicans.
On what basis
that
is
the
on
leader of the opposition has no moral authority to get up in this parliament and speak about any issue until he clarifies. Madam Speaker.
On a point of order, Madam Speaker. On a point of order, Madam Speaker. On a point of order, Madam Speaker. Why are you all behaving like that over there? Relax. Madam Speaker.
Minister Vaz, would you be so kind as to turn your mic off?
Madam Speaker, with all due respect, the minister rose on a matter where we are talking about the Auditor General and the tabling of the reports. Right? What he is discussing right now has nothing, no bearing. If he wants to raise it, he can raise it at the end. If he wants to raise it, if he thinks that it is a matter of national concern, but it has no basis in what we are discussing right now, Madam Speaker. So I would ask you to guide the minister in the proper way while we can finish having the conversation about the items that we're at.
Madam Speaker, just by way of clarification, the leader of the opposition did not speak on an agenda item when he sought privilege a while ago to ask a question in relation to a report. And so that was allowed. And so it is in the same context that I appreciate this response, no, that the Speaker is allowing a member to make a comment within that same space, because the item on the agenda was just after announcement by the clerk. The item was announcement, and the clerk didn't announce anything to do with any tabled item. The Speaker spoke to the issue after the leader appropriately asked his question, and there's no difficulty with that, Madam Speaker. It's quite admissible, allowable, and we are quite comfortable with it. In the same context that a member can get up at a point like this to ask a question. No, absolutely no difficulty with that. The member, no. Madam Speaker, you're quite in order to rule the way you did.
I'm really happy that the member is not speaking through the mic. At no point in time would I want you to refer to the Parliament in the way that you did. The opposition leader asked a question which I responded to and went into aspects of what is required by Constitution and law in respect of the approach that we are taking going forward, and the decision by the Speaker in being very convinced, having sought even legal advice within the Parliament from legal counsel here, but from an abundance of caution, is saying, I want to abide by the law and I am going to seek advice and counsel from the Attorney General's chamber. Every effort is being made to push that. I do not, as Speaker, want to even think about, nor would I have brought up the statement made by the opposition leader as I sit in the capacity as Member of Parliament in the seat that would have the dead vote. But I believe if a member stands up to speak on the same issue as I allow the opposition leader to do, I can equally allow the minister to speak on the same issue, because it is one of equity and balance across the board. So I will allow you to finish, Minister Vaz, and then opposition leader, you may respond.
On a point of order,
Thank you very much.
I just want to.
The point of order is you must apologize to the nation. That's the point of order.
To the audit reports, non-tabling, when we were discussing announcements, because on the previous week there was a discussion and a tabling of the PICA report, and on the list of items tabled today under announcements, it did not include the National Works Agency report, and that is why I raised the issue under announcements. What Minister Vaz is seeking to do here is something totally unrelated to what we have been discussing in relation to announcements and the question of what is the content of what has been tabled here today. It is most improper and should not be permitted. It's an abuse of parliamentary procedure, and I'm not going to be party to that.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Let me just clarify that what the leader of the opposition got up to speak about was constitutional matters. And that is what has
members, could you be so kind as to be quiet so that we can hear the member? Minister Vaz.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. No, I'll repeat. What and the reason why I have gotten up is because of the fact that the leader of the opposition got up to address matters that related to the Constitution. That's what got me. And I'm saying very simply that the decent, right thing to do, coming to the Parliament on the heels of that unfortunate statement, which is not theoretical or unfathomable, because it used to happen in the 70s. And that's why the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, which is named today, has done all these work over the decades to make sure that that is a thing of the past and is never brought back to the fore. So, Madam Speaker, I would have expected that the leader of the opposition, based on the position that he holds, constitutional position, the leader of a major political party, a member of Parliament in his own right, would come in this house today and not hide behind a statement to say his joke he was making. Have the decency and the respect to get up and clarify it himself, and if he needs to apologize, apologize. Madam Speaker, I refer to a statement just today that I saw in the news media that says the opposition remains committed to upholding the Constitution and protecting the democratic value that our nation holds dear. His utterances go in full contrast to that statement. Madam Speaker, wrong can never be right. Whether you hide behind it or you don't hide behind it.
Madam Speaker,
to the leader of the opposition
Madam
today,
Speaker,
and a colleague member of Parliament,
Madam
that he
Speaker,
must do the right thing before he gets up and speaks on
Madam
any
Speaker,
issue in this Parliament. And
no, Madam Speaker, with all due respect,
what he did and said
Madam
is
Speaker,
unacceptable in any country and any democracy.
on a point of order, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, a point of order.
You tell me to raise it. Point of order is you tell me to raise it. You think it's one or two of your colleagues that
point of order, Madam Speaker.
Hold a moment, please, take a seat. Member Philips, take a seat.
Madam Speaker, I don't often get up because I choose my words and my time very, very carefully. And I'm saying to you that I, as a member of
all due respect, Madam Speaker, a point of order, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker.
Member Philips, hold a moment. No, number one, unless your point of order is different from the point of order that you had before, if you're raising the same point of order, you would have been allowed an opportunity. It is better to have the minister complete what he's saying, because he's being allowed to do so. That has been the ruling. And after which, I saw Member Brownberg hold up her hand. She would also like to make a response. If you have a different point of order, go ahead. If it is the same point of order, allow Member Brownberg next.
Madam Speaker, with all due respect, you are allowing the Parliament to descend into a circus. You are. Right? You are. Yes, Mr. Philips. Yes, Mr. Philips. The member himself spoke about members over here colluding with him. If the member has any proof, Madam Speaker, then he should get up with proof and say which members over here has been colluding with him to make that statement. He said so. He said so, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with all due respect. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker.
Hold a moment. Hold a moment.
Madam Speaker, I believe we're being abused in here. And I believe
Madam Speaker,
that it discontinues a motion to sanction the lead of opposition is in order. Madam Speaker, I actually enjoy being heckled.
Madam Speaker,
You have spoken.
Member
I
Robertson.
think member should take his
Member
seat.
Paulwell. Member Philips.
I
Member
believe,
Philips, take
Madam
a seat.
Speaker,
Turn off
if
the
this
mic.
continues,
Member
we are
Robertson.
going to have to move a motion to sanction
Member
the
Robertson.
lead of the opposition.
Member Roberts. No, I am asking that nobody else get up and address Madam Speaker. Everyone, please sit down.
Speaker.
No, please. Marshall, please have all the members standing. Kindly take your seats. All members take your seat and turn off your mic, including Member Philips. I would love to be able to hear the discussion. I did not hear what Member Vaz had to say. I'm hearing a point being made by Member Philips that I did not hear. And I'm actually trying to have it repeated so I can understand the statement that was made. I'm still at a loss. Member Robertson, you cannot stand up to make a point without making it clear you are rising on a point of order, which I did not hear. Okay? So if you do not rise on a point of order, you cannot speak. And Member Robertson, I did not hear a thing that you had to say. So I am going to say, please, for those who have already spoken, do not rise on a point of order again, because we have already heard you. Member Philips, you're going to be allowed to complete. Member Brownberg wanted to say something. I will go with Member Robertson after, and then Member Vaz, and then we close, because I really did not expect to have this long debate. Member Philips. Once we have allowed you to start a conversation on applying the laws which are actually designed coming from the Constitution for aspects of what we are discussing here. I get your point. When the announcements were read last week, in announcements, I tabled a report. You started on a discussion of the report being tabled. You actually asked, and I responded to you. My response resulted in further discussions about the legitimacy of the Speaker's decision in applying and following the law, which resulted in Member Vaz determining that he needed to get up and discuss the legitimacy of you as opposition leader speaking as it relates to constitutional issues, having made a statement that seems to imply you want the dead to vote. And so the discussion has started. I have to be fair and balanced and even-handed and allow you all to speak. So Member Philiips, Member Brownberg, Member Robertson, if he's in here still, yes, and then Member Vaz. And I'm going to close. House Leader, once Member Vaz is finished, I am going to make the decision to move ahead with the agenda while I have a chance to look at the reports that are currently in the registry as at this moment to ensure there are no outstanding reports that should be filed today that continue to wait until we resume Parliament after the break. So, Member Philiips, go ahead.
Madam Speaker, I rose on a point of order because the member over there made some allegations, right, on members on this side. And if it is that the member has proof in what he said, the member said that members on this side colluded with him for him to make the statement that he is. Right? And he needs to provide the proof or withdraw that forthwith, Madam Speaker. But at the same time, Madam Speaker, we're actually making a mockery of the Parliament. Because we have seen...
I am going to ask you to stop right there.
I'm not withdrawing that.
I am going to ask you to stop right there.
Madam
No,
Speaker,
no, 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 no.
You are abusing your position here.
No.
Madam Speaker, you cannot...
Member Philiips, Member Philiips. Member Philiips, please take your seat. As far as... Take your seat.
Madam Speaker.
Take your seat.
Oh, Madam Speaker,
please
just like how you are going to have the other members be heard.
Please take your seat.
I would like to be heard also.
Please take your seat.
Madam Speaker, I'm calling you to ask you also to name the member.
No, I am going to. I am going to. No, Member Philiips. Member Philiips. Member Philiips. Unless you can show proof that I am not even-handed and balanced in allowing the same latitude to members on both sides of the House, you need to withdraw your statement. And I do not appreciate for a moment that you would want to make a statement in this honorable House relegating us to a circus and a kangaroo court. Please desist from making such statements. It is not necessary in order for you to make your point. I heard you very clearly. And if you get up and repeat it again, I am going to ask the Marshal to name you. I am allowing you to speak. You have actually been disturbed several times and have gone right back to saying that you should get up and complete your statement. So balance has been given and latitude given once members would like to participate in the discussion. I have been fair. So do not stand there and abuse the Speaker.
Madam Speaker, the leader of the opposition made a comment yesterday, responding to the comments he made on the platform. Right? The leader of the opposition is not running away from facing whatever it is to face him. But Madam Speaker, the leader of the opposition rose on a matter to deal with the announcements, but also in a matter that the Speaker and yourself said that you have been waiting on a response from the Attorney General. It is in the right of the leader of the opposition to ask if that opinion has been brought to...
And he didn't ask that question.
He did ask the question. You can look back at answered, Madam Speaker. Right? And the issue has to deal with governance. Madam Speaker, the issue has to deal with governance. And we are behaving in this House as if we have something to hide from the public. By every time that we come, something change, that we can't table reports. I can imagine that there are more reports that is here at the House waiting to be tabled than just the two that has been mentioned.
If you notice,
I'm asking the question.
No, you don't need to ask the question.
But Madam Speaker,
you do not need to ask the question.
Let us not relegate the Parliament. Again, I'm going to say it.
No, you don't need to repeat. Anything you have said, I've heard very clearly.
Yes,
once you're going
to
repeat, you need to take a seat.
And it ought not to be so, Madam Speaker.
No, number one, I didn't hear the opposition leader ask anything about the ruling of the... Let me finish speaking, please. Let me finish speaking. I didn't hear him ask the question. I know the question was asked last week. It was asked last week for sure. So in my discussion, in my statement, I made two statements that you are now alleging erroneously in your comment they weren't made. So I would like you to open your ears. Number one, I said, number one, I said that I am going to take the time while all the individuals are speaking to go through all the reports that are here in Parliament to verify that all reports that should be laid are rightly laid. That was number one. I sent to the registry and I asked them to take every single report that has reached the Parliament, and I made that comment. Number one, nothing is being hidden. We are extremely transparent. Number two, I went as far as to discuss not having received an opinion because the question was asked last week, and up to the start of Parliament, I still am not seized of such an opinion. Now, whether or not you think it is appropriate that the opposition leader and members of the opposition side are allowed to conduct themselves in a way that they are free to get up and to ask questions and to further lead into discussions on constitutional issues, the opposition leader opened the floodgates to being questioned on his authority as opposition leader, making statements that do not abide by the Constitution. And I am compelled, and I am compelled not to make these long statements. I actually am someone of very few words. I am not interested in being up here speaking. I allow the members to speak, and you speak to each other and to the nation respectfully. So I am going to ask Member Brownberg to speak if she still so desire. Please.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, thank you very much for acknowledging me. The Leader of Opposition rose on a matter that has to do with the governance of the Parliament and a decision that was made before and what is unfolding. I humbly submit that the question on which member was rose had nothing to do with issues in the Parliament. Madam Speaker, time and time again, individuals have said things on the political platform that we do not bring into the Parliament in this kind of a way. No one sought to bring into this Parliament whether or not everywhere garbage the PNP live. Nobody sought to bring
it was a lie, but I can't answer to the Parliament. However, if you bring it up in here, I will also answer you in the Parliament.
That the member was out of order to have brought it. And I also want to submit that the members on this side have not taken any liberty that was not given. You allowed the leader of opposition to make the statement, and therefore you can't talk about him opening the floodgates, because if he opened it, then so did you by agreeing to him for him to speak. Madam Speaker, I believe that we need to use a bully pit when we have it in the right and proper way. You are not going to get members on the opposition benches to be quiet, because if we get up and ask a question, there are members who are going to operate in the way Member Vaz did. That kind of bullyism will not work with this opposition. So come and try and try and try again. It's not going to work.
Member Brownberg, I can see that you use the protection of the Parliament, and I will not even entertain or engage you. I have other places that I will be able to respond to you as it relates to the lie you just told. However, I will say to you, having allowed the opposition leader to get up and ask his question is absolutely an indication of the opposite of what you're saying. The opposition leader, someone on the opposition benches, at notification announcements, got up, asked this question. That wasn't the issue. He went further into a discussion, and I'll repeat, that resulted in Member Vaz raising to his feet, rising to challenge the statement made. Member Robertson, Member Vaz, and then House Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it has been reported widely that a constitutionally recognized member of this House has made comments that we believe on this side will at a later date, a later time, may give reason for us to rise a censor motion. We believe the comments go far against our Constitution, our laws, and I believe at this point the decent thing to do is for me to call on him to make an apology and to withdraw those comments. Personally, Madam Speaker, in this House, I believe that he has to be more responsible on his platforms of what the utterances of individuals on his platforms, because I believe that we don't want to see our country taken back to the days where our electoral process is suspected. Madam Speaker, I do believe that his attitude in here is wrong, and the comments that I have heard, but I will not repeat. I will wait on that motion at a later time to deal with it, because I believe he needs to be a lot more responsible on his platforms. I now call on him to rise and to withdraw those comments made in East Rural St. Andrew and to apologize to this nation. Thank you.
Member Vaz.
Madam Speaker, and after all that has been said, let me go back to the point that I made originally. It is beyond discussion, debate, that the office of the leader of the opposition, a constitutional position, a leader of a major political party, and a colleague member of Parliament elected by the people to represent the people, that his comments has brought definitively those three offices into disrepute. Undebatable. I would have thought, based on the position that he holds, that the first thing that he would have done in this honorable House is to get up and deal with it frontally, as a leader should. whether they are wrong or they are right. The second point is that without him doing that, for him to get up and speak on anything constitutional or anything else in this parliament, that he has no moral authority to do so. So that is strike 2. And lastly, I, like the member from West St. Thomas, urge him, because it's never too late, and it's not too late, to do the right thing. There is people on this side, there's people on that side, there's people who support this side, there's people who support that side, and there are independent thinkers that are appalled at his content on Sunday night. Regardless of whether it is on a political platform or not, that type of discourse and those type of comments, as I said before, Madam Speaker, it is not theory that he's talking about. It's something that has dogged the political system from in the 70s. So it's not something that he's not aware of while he made the comments. It's not something he read about or something he dream about. It is real life politics in Jamaica decades ago. And that to me is the most important part. And I'm saying, without getting into any contention, because this is not a contentious matter. This is a matter of principle and morals. Nothing else. Nothing else. And I am saying that I feel so strongly about it as a member of parliament in this house, that if he does not do it, we will move to follow the processes to censure him and have a censor motion move, because it is fundamental to democracy. So, Madam Speaker, they can snowball it, they can smoke and screen it. Right is right. And nobody other than the member that I'm speaking about knows it, because he is a qualified lawyer, eminent lawyer in his own right. And therefore, he knows within himself that what he did was wrong. And what he must do is be man enough and responsible enough to get up and right the wrong.
So now, having seen the clip of what the parliament descended into, I agree with MP Philiips that it became almost like a circus. And the speaker had a role to play in what it descended into. Now, there's so much things to unpack here. So first thing is, the utterance by the opposition leader, as I said, is unfortunate and clumsy. But not a big deal, in my view. It's the same thing like when Dwayne Vaz, former PNP MP, they go up on stage and say, how would them feel like? Them skin too tough to bleed. And that became a big thing. Same thing like Mark Golden saying labor rights are damn idiots. Big roar, Nigel get crazy, and the whole works, and Braca Massa, and a whole heap of things packaged into that. It's the same thing like Damian Crawford and calling it a pretty contest, a beauty contest, for example. Portia Simpson Miller, no boy, no girl, no boy. It's the same way as Baumberg says of this, the deputy speaker talking about garbage and comrades. And as I spoke many times about Montague on a public platform, the difference though is that the things that Montague said he was going to do, it puts those comments or those things he said then in a different sphere, totally different kind of, I think, because he was planning some crazy things, do some crazy things, and announcing it publicly. Now, it is the same thing, you know. And it's interesting when we see people like James Robertson and Darrell Vaz using the words moral and decent and like hold on. A matter of fact, Darrell used the words imminent. Rastafari. Darrell, go to the top of the class. You're bright. Use the word imminent. Now, it is strange that, or not strange, but interesting that the deputy speaker is the MP for the constituency in which the opposition leader was presenting a candidate. So you know she in her feelings. But as the deputy speaker, she can't really say nothing too tough about it. So she allowed too much leeway to Vaz, because I agree with the opposition leader that the issue that he raised, that Vaz raised, had nothing to do with what was being discussed in the parliament. So Golding made a comment on a political platform, and here comes Vaz taking it into parliament, wanting to censor. No. I enjoy the back and forth between Philiips and the deputy speaker, and you could hear no other less than Warmington asking for Philiips to be named. Now let me explain what it means to name a member in the parliament. So essentially you refer to persons in parliament as a member from Central, Westmoreland, or wherever they're from. You refer to them that way. But when somebody is deemed to be going against the rules, breaking the rules, not following the protocols, you call them out by their names, and they're basically temporarily removed from the sitting of parliament, and other actions can be taken against them. So that's what he was basically asking for the speaker, the deputy speaker, to do for Philiips. Now, what Vaz and Robertson was asking for was for the opposition leader to be censored. Now, a censorship basically is technically a reprimand. Don't do it again. That kind of thing. And if somebody will raise the motion, there'll be a second in, and then it goes to a vote. Given the majority of the government's majority, any such move will be passed. Easily passed. So that is basically what they were trying to do. Now, interestingly, a couple of things to my mind is I have worked previously in a polling station. So I know a polling station work. And this whole thing, as if them think that Golding was serious about, we are going to get dead people to vote in dead people's name. It would be like me planning to rob a bank and announcing publicly to the bank that I am going to be robbing the bank. And the date that I would be robbing the bank is a publicly known date. It makes no sense. However, regardless of whether Golding was actually planning to get people to vote in dead person's name, it would be something that each political party look out for on election day. Now, Jamaica electoral system is pretty advanced, well respected in the region and in the world. We have cleaned it up a lot. So, having worked in a polling station, it's not easy for anybody coming and come vote in somebody else's name. And I am an advocate. I've always been an advocate for removing names from the voters list, like dead people's names. I've always said, why is it that if somebody is dead, the registrar of births and deaths can't then have a link with the EOJ, and then when somebody dies, and they come off the voters list? Or someone like me, for example, I'm on the voters list. I've lived in Jamaica for a long time. So, a person like me should not be on the voters list. I had a conversation with a friend who told me that once you get on the list, you can't be removed unless you die. That ought to change. So for somebody to jump up and go vote in somebody else's name, a dead person's name, is not easy. There has to be some collusion in the polling station for that to happen. A whole lot of people colluding. And talking about collusion, one of the things Philiips accused Vaz of accusing members on his side of colluding. It's the second time he's doing it now. He spoke about information that he had about letters signed to move no confidence motion in the opposition leader. If he did mention the issue of salaries again. And now he's saying that there's persons on the opposition side who supports him in moving the censorship motion for the opposition leader for the statement he made. Now, if he made a statement outside of Parliament, a political platform, that does not prevent him from making a contribution to a discussion or debate on a totally different issue that's going on in Parliament. Now, Vaz say it has to do with the Constitution, and they're trying to change the Constitution. Now, for me, it's a big smoke screen. Right? It's a distraction for the public. So it's a massive, massive smoke screen. So there was many issues to do with the constitution that the government has put through and has to take it back. And I didn't hear Vaz or Robertson. Well, I've seen Robertson in the House for a long time. I haven't heard them getting up to stand against their party to say, look, these constitutionally, what you're doing is wrong. For example, the signed letters to remove senators, pre-dated letters, or pre-signed letters to remove senators was deemed unconstitutional. The appointment of Lieutenant General Rocky Mead to Cabinet Secretary, just recent attempts to do that, was shut down because it's unconstitutional, because he hadn't served as a civil servant before. The whole issue of NIDS in its original, the original way it was drafted, was shut down by the Constitutional Court. Had to go back. You know, the use of SOEs, for example, is deemed to be unconstitutional. Yet you don't see these people getting up to say, look, these things are unconstitutional, so we can't allow them. You see, the part of the problem that happened is the speaker and the deputy speaker do not control the parliament in a fair, unbiased way. They don't. And I see the deputy speaker going on. She inserted herself in the debate and went on and on and on. Now, I've said many times before that both the speaker and the deputy speaker do a terrible job of maintaining order in the sittings, of making sure the sittings are fair and unbiased and run in a smooth way. See, they are basically referees. They're not players in the game. They're supposed to give orders and keep the order. Now you see the deputy speaker immersed herself in the discussion. As a matter of fact, the discussion, the interchange between she and Brownberg was interesting to me. And interesting to the point where she accused Brownberg of using parliamentary privileges to say things in there that you can't take no legal action against, because it's in the parliamentary immunity, I think is what it's called. But she says Brownberg lied about the garbage and the comrade living in. I would like to know what it is that she says Brownberg is lying about. Is it that it was not said, or is it that the opposition didn't bring it to parliament? I don't understand what she's saying. She did lie about it. Plus she's saying that she will take it up in another forum. So it's about her and beating her chest and being a bully. It just don't sit right. And it, again, as I've been saying many times before, the government clearly has many things to hide. Many things. And they're distracting the public from the things that will be unfolding. So we hear about $10 million overrun on road repairs. Coming up. We hear about overruns and mismanagement again at Petrojam, seeking government intervention once again in form of loans. We see now they're trying to extend the tenure of the DPP by changing the constitution. As a matter of fact, earlier this year, somebody, I think a former or a convicted murderer, had filed a case seeking for the courts to prevent the government from extending the second time the tenure of Paula Llewellyn, the director of public prosecutions. And so the government once again is trying to have that extended. Now there's also the issue of the 6 legislators who are said to have illicitly enriched themselves from illegal means, and their names have been withheld. We haven't heard their names yet. So that's something that's supposed to be coming out soon as well. Right? And the list goes on and on and on. You know what I'm saying? The list goes on and on and on and on. There's the issue of the Integrity Commission and Warmington walking out of it and bringing it to it's a committee of parliament, the oversight committee. He brought it into disappear. So these smoke screens is to throw the public off from the real issues at hand. I mean, That man who really thinks dead people can go vote. Get the dead people off the list, clean up the list again. And I said the electoral office of Jamaica runs a tight enough show. A tight enough show. So it is no big deal, but Mr. Opposition Leader, it is par for the course that when you give these people's fodder, when you give your opponent things to bite on, they're going to bite through and use that as best as they can. And the opposition would have done the same thing. Now, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker should go look, check YouTube or check out John Burkow, I think his name is, John Burkow, former Speaker of the House of Commons in the UK. Excellent speaker. Him not have to ask no clerk or no warder or whoever to go get him to sit down. Based on his instructions and based on the instructions that the Deputy Speaker gave, they shouldn't be asking nobody else to go get him to sit down. Because she was too immersed into the thing. It was too much, again, it's in her constituency, and trying to unseat her, so she vexed. Opposition Leader Mark Golden, you have to make sure say you stop making these kind of blunders. Right? Keep it on the straight and the narrow. And I see someone that asks if you apologize. And they never ask Nigel if you apologize to you the other day, but them asking you to apologize. Apologize for what? I don't know. Because these people always come and speak on behalf of the public. What the public is concerned about. Like, apart from some, I don't know, kind of people in Jamaica be really concerned about it. Because once you have your indoor agents ready and trained, you can't go past them. So again, it's a 9-day one. There's too much, a whole bag of talk about some little things. The bigger issues need to be put front and center. And that's what the government is trying to do, prevent the public from seeing them. So this is all what this is about. It's all about this joke thing, this circus. According to MP Philiips, the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker need to run a tighter ship to bring to do the people in business and run it in a way that everybody feel that they're protected and can have this say. And they're coming to come do anything they feel like doing. And some people with no character, whose characters have been questioned many times before. The other day, Vaz running some red light and then get some stories about it. Like on a cool man. Do the people in work and stop the little sideshow. Anyway, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about the whole issue, what you think about my views on it in the comment section. And until something else leads me to a rant or leads me to turn on my camera, I want to thank you for watching and wish for you all the best. All the best that life has to offer. And as always, it's blessings, one love, enough respects. Thanks for watching.